Welcome to the SoCal Real Estate Development and Syndication Podcast. Available on Apple Podcast, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. If you would like to stay in the loop of our next opportunity or looking for capital to fund your deal, please email ppverikov@hotmail.com. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Now to welcome your host, Peter Verikov.
And welcome to the SoCal Real Estate Development and Syndication Podcast from Blueprints to Skylines, where we interview the go-getters in industry. I am your host, Peter Burrokoff. Today's guest is Jared, a real estate professional with experience spanning land entitlements, development, real estate sales, and investment analytics. Thanks for coming on, Jared. How are you?
I'm well. How are you, Peter?
Good, good, good. Can you let the listeners about a background about yourself, who you are, and your
Yeah,
background?
yeah. So my name is Jared. I work at Crestwood Communities. I work in land development, specifically in entitlements. I got my exposure to the industry pretty young. I was always kind of around my brother, who was a real estate agent, and then my friend's dad, who was a developer who did flips, and he did a couple new builds. And yeah, I just always loved it since I was a kid, and here I am.
What was the moment that you knew real estate was your thing? You clearly at a young age, but what
Yeah, yeah. I
happened?
think I think what made me kind of realize it is, I mean, it's funny enough. Like I just noticed a pattern when I was younger. I mean, I always played games that were building. I enjoyed pretty much anything that involved building, and I enjoyed like the whole grand plan of things. And I think when I was just graduating high school, I just had really noticed that real estate was just an industry I loved, and I loved seeing projects grow. I loved seeing like a piece of dirt go from nothing to an entire house where people lived in. And that was the moment I kind of was like, okay, this is something I'm gonna do.
Right on. It sounds like entitlements are your thing. Can you, for someone that's beginner or doesn't know too much, can you explain that process in simple terms, AI style, simple
Yeah.
terms?
Yeah. So entitlements are basically just getting the go ahead from the city or the water district or a couple other municipal powers to build. And so that involves giving them plans and they have to approve the plans. That involves getting the okay to get sewer and water connections. It involves paying school district fees and basically just getting everybody who's involved in that area that you want to build in to say, yes, you can go ahead and build.
Is there anything you need to do to navigate that, like with on the political side of things? Do you have to get to know people, or is it just as simple as just going down to the city?
Yeah, I think something I've noticed is that kindness honestly pays, definitely pays in dividends. When you have everything, I mean, this assumes a baseline of organization. When you have everything organized and you're going about things the right way, I think when you show the municipal workers just a bit of kindness and common courtesy, like, oh, how are you doing? And like, honestly, like caring about their lives, I think they appreciate it, honestly. And I think projects go smoother. You're noticing they're more willing to work with you on issues. And in general, it just seems like things go smoother when you treat them kindly.
So, what separates a successful entitlement from a mediocre one or a bad situation?
Yeah. I'd say the biggest way to identify one is just in the due diligence period. Maybe when your project's in escrow, you can definitely tell what has to get done for the project to exist. Like, say, if there's just Edison lines above and there may be like too much infrastructure need for that, or maybe if there isn't power or water lines anywhere near the project, you can pretty much say, okay, this might be an issue. Or if there's any sort of environmental issue, that's usually a big red flag. But I'd say the projects that usually turn out good are honestly the ones where I think now, because of where the real estate industry is in California and how so much is built out, I think the best projects are the ones that you're willing to deal with the problems and you have the expertise to handle the problems that are associated with it.
Yeah, excellent. So you spoke of due diligence, and that's how you go through due diligence to see if it's basically worth pursuing.
Yeah.
Um, is there like a top top one, two, or three things that like those are the first things you look at every single time? What are those like top ones that they have to be there?
Yeah. I think the first thing is we make sure the exit comps pro forma. If we can't sell there and there's no profit to actually getting the land, it's just an immediate no. And assuming that the project does work out, we then, I think the other important ones would be to make sure, but this kind of plays into the pro forma. That's kind of like shows you like the rubber meets the road of these other things. But say, for example, we look out for any serious environmental issues that we didn't know about. We might get like a phase one done, or we might do a geotechnical report and kind of see what's going on with the property, see how grading is with survey, and kind of get an idea of what the property is physically. And then the other thing we look for is how, I'd say, how willing the municipalities are in that area to work with you. You can kind of get an idea of how much it'll cost to get school district fees, the permitting fees, the sewer and water connection fees, and kind of decide, okay, is this an area we want to build in? So to kind of summarize that, I'd say the pro forma, I'd want to do an overview of what the entitlements look like and just the general susceptibility of the municipalities there.
What do you wish like a young person just starting out would know about entitlement? Can you teach them, or what are they getting themselves into?
Yeah, I think I would tell a young person, honestly, to go towards entitlements. I think it's a part of the industry right now that has a lot of demand. It is complicated, honestly, and it requires, it's like a term called agile project management. Like a construction, for example, is a lot of waterfall, where it's one item and then the next, and then the next, and then the next. But with entitlements, you have a lot of things you're coordinating at once, and they all kind of have to crescendo to get the permit. So I would say to like a younger person, I would just say build a system for tracking things in an agile way and just jump right in because there's a lot of demand for it in the industry. And if you're looking for a job, I think you'll find a lot of work if you know how to do it.
Where should someone start? Where do they start? Like
Yeah. I think I would just say anywhere. Honestly, if you're interested in real estate, I would start anywhere. I started as a real estate agent. I learned a little bit about it through that. I interned with my friend's dad who did flips. I then worked with a civil engineer and I processed their entitlements and helped them coordinate them. And from the face of it, I was like, oh, this isn't really doing what I want to do of being a developer. But now on the back end, where I now work with a land developer, I see that all of those steps along the way taught me things that make me more viable as someone who works with a developer. So I would honestly just tell a young person, start wherever you can get in and just establish a hard work ethic and network, and the sky's the limits.
What are the biggest opportunities in development over the next decade? Where do you see it going?
Yeah, California is getting pretty overbuilt, especially here in Southern California. I think a lot of opportunities are springing up in the Coachella Valley. There's more infrastructure being placed there. People are enjoying it more. Disney is doing their community out there, and it's attracting a lot of attention. And I'd say, in terms of if you want to develop somewhere more urban within America or in California specifically, I think maybe some creative rezoning and demo builds where you take an old building that failed and you're able to be like, okay, hey, we can demo this, put something new. I think that's where you'll see a lot of opportunities and pretty cool creative projects coming up.
Yeah, you see that everywhere driving around an old plaza, an old building, they demo it down and they build up condos or
Yeah,
townhomes. That is
yeah,
very popular around us here.
it is.
What do you want to master next? What's your next goal? What's 5 years from now? What do you want to do? What do you want to be? Where do you want to be at?
Yeah, I think I really enjoy entitlements. I enjoy learning how that works and I enjoy getting projects set up to go. I think within the next 5 years, I definitely want to be doing more big picture items within entitlements. So learning more about land acquisitions, doing more involvement of actually acquiring the land and figuring out what it takes to entitle them. And Yeah, I think getting a higher level view of the whole project and continuing to kind of help manage the project's go and smooth over any rough edges.
Yeah, right on. What about like, you know, what about failures? Failures are a big part of life and success. You fail forward. You fail. Failures are healthy in some sorts.
Hmm.
Where have you failed that's turned into a success for you? What have you done, kind of in that mindset sort of stuff?
Yeah,
Can
no,
you-
that's a good point.
I know I'm putting you on the spot, but
No, that's a good one. Thank you. No, I appreciate it. I like this question. I think I don't know if I'd say it was a failure, but I mean, my first job, it was such a good job. It was honestly such a good job. Like I was such a blessing in disguise. So it would be so foolish to call it a failure. But at the time, I was so set on being a land developer
Mhm.
that because I was working with a civil engineer, I was super discouraged. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm over my head. I don't know what
So
I'm
you thought you took the
doing.
wrong path. You thought you
Yeah,
took the wrong path in the road,
yeah, yeah.
but it
I was worried.
but it wasn't really. I mean,
It wasn't. The company I worked with was incredible, honestly. They were very professional. They systematically went about everything they did. And the first the time that I spent being there was such a learning curve that it honestly like really molded me as a person. There was so much that went over my head, and the people that worked with me were so patient with me, and walked me through it and taught me things as I was meant to be working. Like it was almost like I was at school. Um, and it was honestly such a blessing. Like I don't even. It's like in no means a failure. I think the moral of that story I would just like kind of impart on someone who feels like they're failing is honestly just fail forward in experience. Like if you feel like where you're at right now isn't where you want to be, if you put your best foot forward and work hard and continue to just prove yourself as a hardworking person, you'll find yourself where you want to be. I mean, I think results kind of speak for themselves. And
excellent,
yeah, I think that's
excellent.
what I'd say regarding failure.
Sure, sure. Like, do you read? Do you listen to videos? Watch YouTube? How do you get like your knowledge? How do you grow? Where's your resources? What do you use? Is it a person? Is it a YouTube channel? Is it a type of book? Is it an author? What do you like to do to listen to
Yeah.
or
Honestly, I base a lot of my wisdom and work ethic from biblical practices. I kind of reference the Bible in a lot of things. I mean, there's a story of Jacob where he basically worked for his wife's father and he kept giving him just the rough end of everything. And he continued to work hard and work hard and work hard. And his hard work spoke for itself, and he was blessed because of it. Um, and you see like all throughout the Bible and Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, like all sorts of words of wisdom and just encouragement for working hard. Um, and so I think I just kind of apply that general logic as I go into the workplace with that as my foundation. But in terms of specific resources that I consume for real estate, um, I would say for sales, there's a book called Ninja Selling. It's a book that the Sotheby's they have their agents read and apply, and I would definitely recommend it as a read to anybody who's in sales and real estate. It basically transitions the job from being salesy to being a people person and helping people in earnest. And I think that's honestly key for being effective in sales. And in terms of land development, I would say go to networking conferences. I have just stacks and stacks of notes I took from just walking up to random people at networking conferences and asking, hey, what would you tell a young guy? Or what would you tell yourself if you could go back in time and be my age in your 20s? And I think the wisdom that they all imparted on me really built me up in the industry. So yeah, I'd say network, read your Bible, and ninja selling.
Yeah, that's a good point about scriptures in the Bible. You read all these books out there about, self-development, and a lot of these lessons come from little parts of the Bible.
Yeah.
And the Bible's how old, so it's definitely one of the best sources that we can use. And I really like that. But how can someone get a hold of you if they have any questions about what you do or what you know? How can someone get a hold of you?
Yeah. You could just reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'll definitely give you or I don't know, like a follow or like a connect back. And if you have any questions or need any advice, yeah, I'd love to chat. Or if you want to talk about any ideas, I'd love to talk.
Sounds good. Well, thank you for listening. Thanks for coming on, Jared, and to everybody, thanks for listening. Please stay tuned in for next time.
Thank you for listening to the SoCal Real Estate Development and Syndication Podcast. Available on Apple Podcast, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. If you would like to stay in the loop of our next opportunity or looking for capital to fund your deal, please email ppbarakoff@hotmail.com. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and comment.